Hi, it's Mike with AskTractorMike.com. I'm going to kind of give you an update today on the state of the farm equipment industry. And I'm doing this because if you're shopping for a tractor or equipment, you're finding a mess out there. You're finding a shortage of inventory, not a lot of negotiation skills between you and the dealer. Nobody's got inventory. They sometimes act like they don't want to sell it. If you're shopping, they don't want to wait on you. What's going on? And why are tractors so high? And what's happened to the price of tractors? We're going to cover all that today. Well, first off, I'm going to share some numbers with you about last year's tractor sales. And these numbers just are hard to believe when you've been in the business as long as I have, that these numbers are so high. And the Association of Equipment Manufacturers is a trade organization that tracks industry sales of all brands of tractors and combines. And listen to these numbers. In 2021, the total number of tractors sold in the U.S. only, under 40 horsepower, was 215,288. That's the biggest number we've ever seen under 40 horsepower. 40 to 100 horsepower was 75,311, and 100 horsepower plus was 23,762. So all tractors sold in the U.S. last year, and they call these two-wheel drive tractors, but what they're basically referring to is non-articulated tractors. They could be two-wheel or four-wheel drive, but they're a fixed frame tractor versus an articulated tractor. There were 314,361 sold in 2021. And four-wheel drive farm tractors, just if you're an equipment geek like I am, you look at these numbers, and that's articulated four-wheel drive, these big tractors that swivel in the middle. There were 3,536 of them sold. And self-propelled combines, there were 6,272 of them sold last year, new combines. So to put these numbers in a little bit of perspective, most of my audience are people that are moving out to the country and they're buying a tractor under 40 horsepower and using it to kind of keep their estate cleaned up and brush hog and move stuff around and stuff like that. Well, so in 2021, like I said, under 40 horsepower tractor sold was 215,288. 215,288. That compares to 2020 of 197,772. So we broke 200,000, and not only broke it, went way through it. So we went from 197 to 215. In 2019, to give you a little perspective, we sold 163,298. And in 2018, we sold 155,269. That's U.S. sales tractors under 40 horsepower. So in 2018, we went from 155 to 163 in 2019 to 197 in 2020 to 215 in 2021. So our growth is just straight up. It's crazy. And the other thing I want to talk about today that relates to all this is our beginning inventory on the first day of January of 2022 was 49,288 units. Our beginning inventory in 21 was 55,331. So we've gone from 55,000 units under 40 horsepower in inventory to 49,000 units. So we've had a significant drop. Now, to put that in perspective, before COVID happened, in 2019, our beginning inventory, first day of January of 2019, was 94,482. So put this in perspective, before COVID, tractors on the ground, first day of January, right prior to the selling season, 94,000 in 2019, and right now today we're at 49,000. So not half, but darn close to half drop in the number of tractors that are available for sale. You know, it kind of seems like forever ago, but back in 2019, you went on a dealer's lot and they had tractors in stock for you to look at, all kinds of different sizes and models and prices, and life was good. And we had no idea how good it was back then. And any dealer that today had a lot that looked like this would be sold out pretty quick. So what happened? What's going on? Where we go from here? Well, what happened was COVID hit. At the same time, the trend toward people moving out of the city to the country, splitting up acreages and putting a house on 5 to 20 or 30, 40, whatever acres, that has continued to grow. So there's more people moving from metropolitan areas out to the country. Well, COVID hit, and a couple of things happened there. Number one, people found out they could maybe work remotely, and so they moved out to the country. That accelerated. Number two, they may have retired. They may have been thinking about this a long time, and then all of a sudden when COVID hit, they're like, I'm not going to work. They move out to the country, and so the demand has just continued to grow for these small tractors. At the same time, the supply is the worst it's ever been. And of course, COVID hit. You had lots of components for tractors. You had assembled tractors from overseas. You had parts and pieces that nobody could get. Couldn't get tractor seats, couldn't get wiring harnesses, couldn't get chips. And these new tractors have them. And so they couldn't build as many. So basically where we're at, we're in a terrible position where we've got, well, it's a great position for the manufacturers, way more demand than we've got supply. And I've got contacts in the industry that don't think that's going to change very much until at least the end of this year, maybe first of next year, maybe longer. Nobody really knows for sure. Everybody is scrambling to try to get all the components they can, and they're bidding against the automotive people and the truck people and the industrial people to get the business from chip makers and from steel makers and from component makers and bearing makers and all of this other stuff to get their components to make their tractors, while the prices keep going up. So we're in just an absolute mess right now. If you're trying to buy a tractor and you go into a dealership, first thing you notice is what they've got in stock is a lot of times not what you're looking for. And number two, the salespeople, and I really do have compassion for these salespeople because I was one of them one time, they haven't got anything to sell. They're going to go out and wait on you and try to help you and get you sold on buying their brand, and they don't know whether they can get it or not. Now, before COVID, if I was a dealer and I needed a tractor, I could go on the locator and see what all the other dealers had, and I might find one at old price. I might actually save you some money by looking. And so there's a guy a 2-hour drive away from here that had a tractor that you wanted at old price. He kind of wanted rid of it because he was about to pay interest on it, and you wanted it. I could set up, everybody wins. It keeps the inventory fresh. I put a truck on the road, figure that into the price, and everybody came out good. Now, if you want to transfer a tractor, you better have a desirable tractor to trade to that other dealer. So dealer transfers from one to the other have just about stopped. So that's where we are in the equipment business. The demand for under 40 horsepower tractors, which most of us own, has never been higher. The supplier is at the low point, and everybody wants them. And even with that high number of new tractors sold, nobody's trading them in. They're not coming back on trade. So there's used inventory is not where it needs to be either. So we're in a mess. We're going to be in a mess for a while. If you can put off buying a tractor, if you're thinking about upgrading, or if you're thinking about getting a bigger tractor, now's the time just to wait. And it's hard for us Americans to wait. We've been used to having stuff when we want it. Right now, you can't get it. So that's the state of the industry. Next week, I'm going to talk about used equipment values and where they're at, and how you can tell what a used equipment, what a used tractor might be worth if you're trying to sell one, or if you're trying to trade it in, what you're going to get out of it and all that. So we'll talk about that next week. But right now, it's a seller's market, and even the sellers are not in great shape because they can't get inventory. Appreciate you watching my videos. I'd be honored if you'd subscribe to my YouTube channel, and you can do that by clicking the mic face icon and checking the bell so you're notified when I post future videos. Here's a link to my website and the Tractor Fund Store with unique items for sale for the tractor owner. It helps support my channel. And here's another video you might want to watch. Thanks for watching.